Patricia, super nice to see you and thank you for making time. I discovered you a couple of weeks ago on a forum of Joe Dispenza, who teaches about consciousness and uh, what's the word? I forgot the words. It's to help people. I don't like the word fight. Get over their food problems. And I've been reading your book and I've been testing with what you teach. And before we get into all of that, I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone that is watching.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on your show. And I'm excited to be here and have you be in Berlin and me be in the United States in California. That's exciting, a new technological advancement. So I thank you very much. And I looked at your website and I just want to say I was really impressed. And I was impressed with how much you care about your products and about animals, and about you had questions about self-love. And really I was caught with the word natural, because natural and what I teach are really hand in hand. What is natural? What can we count on? What can we trust with the body? And how to care for it. So there's an interrelationship, and I want to thank you for what you're doing with that.
Well, thank you as well. So, about you, you started this journey in the 80s. Well, you started the journey before, but you learned through your teacher, Nick, if I remember correctly, how to do what you teach people in the book Freedom from Food.
Yes. So I studied metaphysics for about 8 years, and I was studying something called eschatology. And it was really how the mind can influence your physical well-being, can affect your life, really that we are way more powerful than we think. And I was in my 20s, and actually I wasn't very happy. And I don't know, I think people in their 20s go through a lot. They don't really know who they are, and they're questioning life, and it's a real passage. And I thought, oh, I am not happy, and I don't know whether I ever will be happy. And food really was what I reached for. And it was my soother for life's anxiety. And so I was studying for about 8 years, and I told my teacher, well, it's wonderful that I know how to heal all of these diseases and all kinds of things that are affecting people theoretically. And I really underline theoretically or intellectually. I said, but the fact is I'm a junk food junkie. I'm a compulsive overeater, and I'm out of control. I binge, and then I diet, and I binge, and I diet. And I was at the mercy of food. And he didn't know anything about what I was talking about. And you will always know that because he said, well, Patricia, he said, well, why don't you just stop eating? And I had to laugh because, of course, I would have thought about that. You know, I have degrees, and if I could have stopped, I would. And so I said, no, Nick, you don't understand. I'm addicted in a certain way. I can't stop. I was in a habitual pattern of sedating my anxiety or the emotional tension that, you know, we all have to some degree, but that was the way I got through and helped myself in places where I didn't feel loved enough or didn't feel connected. Food became that place that I could soothe myself. And it was a very temporary fix. Then it depressed me because then I gained weight and hated myself. So it didn't really work out. But that's a bit of my story, how it all came about. And he helped me. He said, well, let's do an experiment. And I said, he had never done it before, but he gave me a challenge. And he said, I want you to get on the scale. Now let's put it in perspective. I'd studied 8 years weekly of metaphysical studies. And he said, I want you to get on the scale, weigh yourself, put the scale away, and I want you to eat whatever you want, whenever you want it, in whatever amounts. And don't exercise, really, because then you'll think it's exercise. And I was like, that was a really huge asking of me. It petrified me. Okay, I'm at my top weight, and you want me to do this. And so it was a real question, and I really I have complete empathy for my clients when they reach this point, because you can know many things intellectually about consciousness and how it all works intelligently, but that doesn't mean you are testing it. And I think testing it, really getting on a scale and off a scale and seeing, wait a minute, can this study of not mindfulness, but putting my mind and my focus and attention, can it really change my body? And it's like jumping off a cliff, to tell you the truth, to really see, will it work? Will these principles that I've been studying and learning about the body, will they work?
Yeah, and
I did.
Obviously, because you wrote a book about it and you're helping a lot of people with it. And I think it's so amazing. And there are actually a couple of things that I would like to talk to you about. So one thing is, you started this in the 80s and this whole terrain was so new. And I can imagine that people like you would have had a lot of people saying, is she out of her mind? Or so you had to deal with all of that as well. But actually the book wanted to be born, the information wanted to be born, so it came out through you. There was one thing that he told you to do, right? Nick told you to write a meditation. I don't know if you did it together with him, and you had to recite that or you had to do that meditation daily, and that would help you in your process. Can you expand a little on that part?
Yes. So you have to understand, Nick had not only didn't know about weight, but he, he kind of was creating it. And then I created Freedom from Food and put the whole program together of an 8-year study that I had done in metaphysics. So it wasn't like he had a pre-done meditation, but he created it with me. And quite honestly, when I go back and read it, the principles in it are not astounding. And I find truth, actually, it's very simple. When it's simple in theory, but not necessarily in application.
Yeah, I can understand.
He was saying concepts that the mind does affect the body. And the meditation was a culmination of my 8 years of study, where I was studying that I really could affect. I did have the power to affect what my body was doing if I focused it and held my attention long enough. Then my body would begin to change. Now, it's very interesting what that's like. So we have a whole set of belief systems about food and weight and what we should do and what we shouldn't do and exercise and calories and carbohydrates and all kinds of things. It's endless. So so if we could just put that in a circle, all of the belief systems we have about food, maybe in another circle, all the emotional things connected to food and why it was created, why we became habitually connected to food.
Yeah.
So then if we had the ability, and this is the teaching and what I do with people, this is really what I think I help people do. If you can pop out of those circles composed of clusters of beliefs and emotions long enough, and long enough is the real key here, long enough to allow the body's automatic healing responses to foreign things coming into it, including things we're eating that we don't need, like bubblegum ice cream. I'm sorry, whoever invented it, but things like that. When you see things that have the color of hot pink, foods that are hot pink and blue, and our body knows. There is, back to your word, natural. There is an instinctual, natural elimination system that we were created with from the very beginning. And if we can allow or find a way, which is really where I come in, to rise above all of the beliefs and emotions, there is a river of intelligence, as Deepak Chopra said. There's a river of intelligence and consciousness and health and well-being that exists outside of those arenas that want to heal. The body wants to heal. That's how we were set up. You get a cut, the body begins to heal it. So it's tapping into that river of consciousness and intelligence that we need. In a sense, I needed to be coached. Still, focus and attention is something I have a practice of doing every morning. Is, where am I putting my thoughts? Where am I putting my attention? And consciously bringing myself back into alignment daily. I'm really going on and on.
Yeah, well, actually, so what I've noticed, I'm reading your book, and so I've been going through a meditation practice daily for a while already, and not so you're okay. I want to say 5 things at the same time. Maybe start with that. So I have a meditation practice, a daily one. And I believe in thoughts create reality. That was already before I got acquainted with your book. I have been working on belief systems because I know that things start with thoughts. Thoughts create belief systems, and you have to get out of there. So I have some background. Let's say I have some tools already to help me with the new beliefs for me. Completely trusting my body and focusing on trusting my body, because I notice that I pop in and out of this realm. Would you say, like, how much time would it take an average person to really get into this?
To get into it is one thing, to hold on to it is another. Okay. So I want to pay attention to the words you said about popping in and out. So that popping in and out is where, you who are a very advanced person, obviously you've been studying mind and its effect on things for years and years and years, maybe your whole life in some way. So you're not a person who, some people I need to teach from the very beginning, how the mind affects the body. And we need to go in back into their personal history and see what emotions have really triggered them. And they, of course, need to work on that hand in hand. But what I'm caught with, like I said, is you're popping in and out. So where I'm a coach, I'm kind of I would call me an Olympic coach in this area. And I help people not pop in and out,
but stay.
To stay more. Now, none of us can be perfect. So I don't expect or want, I mean, me expect, I don't have any. I'm just saying I wouldn't try to make someone perfect, but I know with everyone, there is, the cells are waiting for their cue. I don't know, it's probably different with everyone as to how long you have to hold this consciousness before we're going to let go of these belief systems. You know, so what moment is that going to happen? What I've seen is 6 months. I work with people 6 months to get them to a place to try this experiment with their mind to see that they can eat whatever they want and not gain weight. Now, that is just what I've seen with people because I really track them. I want to track their emotional self, what they've been through, their triggers, what sets them off. I want to track their belief systems. I want to build their ability to hold a focus. And between both of us, and it can be less, there's no set format, even though I'm going to say 6 months. Someone builds the muscle to say, okay, I'm going to try this for 2 weeks. And so that's what I would say. Then you have to hold on to it. So it's not a matter of like, oh, I healed myself. It's like, it's very much like riding a bike. You know how you get the balance and then you fall off. And then you get the balance and you fall off. And then one day you don't even need to think about it. So I haven't thought about it. Gosh, I don't even know how many years, 35 years. I don't know how long. I was 20, so it's 40 years, something. I was in my 20s. Yeah, it's 40 years. I keep saying 30 just out of habit.
30 is fine. Abraham Hicks talks about age and I'm fully into how she explains. So 30 is fine, Patricia.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's integrated.
Yeah.
That you're no longer doubting it. I don't ever think about food affecting my weight. And if I do, I use the principles I know. So maybe once every few years, I really haven't had one in so long, that I would go, oh, what is this that looks like fat or looks like gaining weight? And all the stuff would come rolling in. And I would go, okay, I know this trick. It's like, watching the saboteur, watching kind of the wolf in grandmother's clothes go, oh, you better go on a diet. Oh, you better go back to your old ways. And I really, because it was such a miraculous healing for me, in a sense, absolutely.
Trust. Yeah.
I trust. That is the word I want to underline that you just said, that I go, no. And I go, I know my body's going to take care of this. I don't know how. I don't have to know how. Our body's so much more intelligent than we are. It knows what I don't need. I'm just trusting, and I'm going to continue eating the way feels natural for me.
Yeah. I wanted to share something with you, which I just remembered. Yesterday, I sat in meditation, and sometimes I do guided meditation, sometimes I do quiet. And usually what I do is an hour. I sit down for an hour, eyes closed, cross-legged. And during my Vipassana 10-day silent meditation, I learned how to, that's hardcore. Now, 1 hour is nothing. It's like 1 hour peanuts. So during my meditation, I was thinking about our interview because actually I thought it was yesterday. And it was so interesting because I could feel an energy inside of me like swirl, and it was almost like all my cells were like, woohoo! It was so funny.
Oh.
It was so crazy. I thought, oh wow, I'm so looking forward to talking to you, and here we are. And I wanted to ask you, so we don't know how much time it will take for someone to get to that level. It's practice, it's focus, it's dedication, it's trust. It's what you want, of course. Do you really want it? Then you have to put some effort in it, because that's just how these rules work on planet Earth. You also have next to the book CDs and cards. Are they necessary to use in the process? Because I have to be honest, I just ordered the book. And also because I thought, yeah, but inner child work, I know inner child work and how to do it. And I've worked with that and still work with that sometimes. So what would you say to, if people are like, yeah, but do I really have to have all those things too? Like, what is your take on that?
You don't have to have, when I healed myself, there was no book and there were no CDs or cards. But what I can say is this is a very difficult task. Some people learn better auditorially. Some people are visual. I like all the prompts I can get when I'm healing. So I walk around my house or my office, and I have things that remind me so that my mind will consciously look at them and consciously get the feeling, the thought that I want. So cards can be, you walk by the refrigerator and there's a card and it says, everything you eat is making you lighter and lighter, or that it's safe to, whatever it is, it's safe to be you. And
you have reminders.
Reminders. So I believe in my own life, I like reminders all over. When I go out to my garden to meditate, I have signs that say gratitude and trust and love and let go and believe, so I like prompters. So that's my answer. And some people are very auditory. And if you were only going to get one thing, I'd say get the book. But the auditory has helped so many people. I think I sell more CDs than I sell books. Because it's telling you the concepts and it's giving you visuals in one part of it. It tells you the principles. Then it has affirmations, and then it has the inner child work. And then there is a whole subliminal CD. So you could put it in the car and all that's going in. The subliminal, you just put it at such a low level, you can't hear the words, but all the words are there going into, except the relaxation ones. Because we don't want you relaxing in the car. So that's my answer to the question. I just think this is not, changing anything in our life. Sometimes it can be quick and boom, but some of the big things can be lifetime.
Yeah, you're ready also.
I like all the help I can get. That's how I feel.
I don't know what's going on here. I hear a certain sound. Maybe it's coming from your computer. Is there an app that wants your attention on your computer? Can you see something popping up?
Yes.
That's what I hear.
Okay. Yes, and I'm not sure how to get rid of that. But let me see where, no, but if I put my sound down, I think that'll affect us.
If you click on the app, and then usually it pops up, and then you can close it.
I think I just by accident took us off. Do you see me?
I can still see you. Yeah.
Okay.
So
1 second. Technology, we're coming back. Okay. Tell me what to do again.
So you can't see us anymore? Then
I can, yes.
Oh, you can?
Yes, I'm back.
Then I think because what we just heard, it's usually a program that wants your attention, and that's
it was email or something.
Yeah,
I think.
But I think it's finished now.
Hopefully, no one will email me now. Somehow you just went on the top and I'm on the bottom. I don't know if that's on yours too, but
no. That's
okay. I'm happy anyway. We're learning Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, passion for technology is what we used to say at Microsoft. I used to work for Microsoft years ago. And of course, every time everything went wrong when you had a presentation, or you're like, why is this always happening on this moment? Okay, I also wrote down a couple of questions, and I emailed you some questions.
Yes.
Yes. So, oh yeah, this is a nice one. I think I already know the answer, but then if I know the answer, then what's the fun, huh?
That's right.
So in the process of doing this, would you recommend wearing certain types of clothes in the process?
Yeah. In the 2-week healing.
Yeah.
But also maybe when, if you're a person, there's different people and checker inners. And some people check in, some people check in on their body all the time. And I would say, especially at the 2-week healing, my training, I say, okay, but when you're doing the 2-week healing, then absolutely, I wouldn't wear anything. And part of the training for people like you, which there are many, many, would be how to stop that checking in, how to work with that on a daily level, how to try it even during the day. Boy, can I spend, a certain amount of hours and not check in. And there's a chapter in the book, maybe you haven't gotten to it, called Taking a Stand. And have you gotten there? So when I'm training people, we're getting close to the healing then. And when I'm having people take a stand, I have them practice staying up, in a sense, outside of, like, at the best, their third eye, but anywhere above the neck. Just whenever you see your consciousness, I work with them on consciousness and placing their consciousness in different areas. And whenever they see themselves going to a different, going down, because that's where emotional feelings get in. Yeah, they call them chakras. But in the stomach area, the emotional area, when we're looking down, that leaves an opening for the negative thoughts to come in. And when we're checking, rather than just being able to let go with what we're seeing, like I was talking about, we're like, oh no. We solidify it in some way by checking.
Yeah.
I did Tony Robbins has something called the fire walk. Have you ever heard of
that? I heard of it. I've never done it, but I've heard of people doing it as well. Yeah.
Well, it was quite a challenge, and I didn't realize that he's asking people to do really the same thing I was asking people to do. In order to get across these coals safely, you have to, it was like, hold your hand up, and you are not allowed to go into your emotions. The moment you go into, how does this feel? The moment you are trying to feel how it feels, you burn. So because you're feeling these burning coals, and he says you'll end up in the hospital, and it's true, you don't do it. and his whole thing is teaching you to take a stand, in a sense, and duplicate so you can walk across these coals. Well, that's only a few minutes walking across these coals. So I have to train people to go for 2 weeks and then into a lifetime and say, don't check.
Yeah.
You have to not check.
It's really trusting. So it's like, yeah, the interesting thing is, Patricia, because this is not a matter of life and death. When your life would depend on it,
Yes.
then all of a sudden you get to that level of focus and strength and
yes. And I really think that's true. I think I even wrote about it in my book. I did someplace. I said, people who are dying in a certain sense, they know they can't fool around. They know, if they're going to try to heal themselves, and this is something that people are trying, it's, we have a capability that can be influential on our body. So if we're going to try it, when it's life or death, like you said, we're not going to fool around. If it means I'm going to die, I have a lot more intention and focus not to go places that are going to cause me to die. But in a sense, it's a slow death, what I felt with food. I hate to say that, but in a certain sense, I just felt like I was emotionally killing myself off every day in some way because I was hating myself.
That's what food, actually. You tell people to start a diary and so I stopped the diary because I noticed instantly what was going on. I'm afraid that when I eat this with every meal, I was like, what? I didn't even realize it until I wrote it down. I was shocked. I was really shocked. Also shocked about how unconscious I became about it. Because I'm pretty aware of most things going on and signs and whatever. So, yeah. To the next question. Yeah. Do you have a super astonishing change that you experienced in someone, something that you would like to share with the viewers? I've read some, or actually all of your success stories on your website. Maybe there's one or another one that's not on there yet that you would like to share with the viewers.
I think for some people, maybe a mirror, I've noticed it actually in dealing with people. Like they'll say, oh, if I could eat whatever I wanted, then that would just be a miracle. And as soon as they do that, they're like, but now I have to lose weight. They don't even pause. There's part of digesting kind of the miracle, being with it. I still am absolutely amazed that I healed myself of food the way I did. That I got on that scale after eating so much food that I would have gained, if I ate, 3 things, it seems like I would have gained so much from what I ate. So anytime I see someone do that with themselves, I have to say I have the same amazement. Part of me wishes that they held on to it longer because it's, I don't know, to me it's unbelievable to get out of the belief systems and emotions that we have in order to change our body. So I wouldn't say that there is a difference, or one case that amazed me more. Just whenever someone does it, I'm still like, wow, you really did this too. Yeah. And you can see, the power of your mind, and not that many people can get above into the flow of consciousness and heal something. So I still find it a miracle. I do. I'm still amazed that I did that in my 20s. I would have never guessed I could do that.
Yeah, I love it, and I'm so happy that that there's I don't know if that's true. I have a feeling that usually things go in waves, and I have a feeling that there already is or will be even more attention for your work, because obviously then was not really the time, and Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden are also growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and Neville Goddard's work has been, yeah, people are really understanding that thoughts create reality. Yogananda, which we talked about before, he has been spreading this knowledge, and at one point we're tipping the scale, and the masses will finally also follow into this, because it's so amazing. And also I think, like, everyone has their beliefs about that as well, but I think we're spirits in a physical body, and we should be able to enjoy the perks of a physical body, which is also eating, without having all the guilt trips and all the shame and all the whatever there is around it, and just enjoy it and not give it too much power. Like,
I remember I couldn't eat a sandwich. I remember the day I could eat a sandwich. I mean, the thought of 2 pieces of bread, I had a friend who was always eating sandwiches and she never gained weight. And I was so jealous. I mean, and I just remember that. And I think you're right. It's like, I don't want to make any mistake that I'm trying to have people eat junk food, because I'm not. What I am trying to do is help people get out of a deprivational syndrome.
yeah,
And then they're going to naturally want to upgrade. In other words, what I found, and even today I find it, like I go in kind of cycles. Oh, I want salad, salad, salad. Oh, I want a sandwich, sandwich, sandwich. Oh, I don't want any more sandwiches. Oh, I want, it's like I go in ice cream. It doesn't matter what it is. I go in cycles of wanting things. And if I just pay attention, it just moves. And for me, I move to healthier things. The more I can eat healthy and not feel deprived, that's my big thing. I do not allow myself to go into deprivation, because to me, that is one of the things that causes an eater to just be cycled into the binging dieting cycle. So I don't allow myself to go into that. But I do believe in and this is not my study of what's good for you and what's not, but I do believe people will naturally upgrade. And for me, it's a matter of, when I used to eat a pint of ice cream, I mean, that was nothing for me, along with other things. I was so tired the next day. So I never had the freedom to notice that I was exhausted the next day. And once you're healed, and it doesn't matter whether you eat ice cream or not, you are going to choose, when you're going to choose less and less to do that, because you're going to more and more value your energy. Yeah. So it becomes upgrade. Your energy becomes very important. Your vibrancy, your brilliancy. I love what you do. You put makeup that brings out people's natural beauty. And in a sense, I think people really, with their bodies, naturally want to go there, to put food in that makes them feel better when they can. But when you're in the binge diet cycle, it's too much filled with deprivation and not love, not feeling loved and connected. And
love. That it's so nice that you say that. You tip a book in your book, Harvey Cohen's The Incredible Cosmic Consciousness Diet. It's such a cool. So I haven't been able to order the book yet, because I don't know if it's even available still.
I know.
Yeah, but I've found a website who part of the book. It's so cool. This website is so old school with stars and black. What is this?
A long time ago.
So amazing. And in this book, like everything that's written there, I already know. But then you know how you read things and in a different context, and all of a sudden the knowledge sinks deeper and deeper and deeper. And at one point, they started talking about love, because that's actually everything. That's what it boils down to. Like Marianne Williams says as well, there's only love and fear, nothing else. And I've noticed that in the moments that I'm really, really, truly loving to myself and others, and that I'm in my meditation and appreciative of my body, of my mind, everything, then that day is really, everything goes fine with food. As soon as I'm not in this mode, I have to really pay attention, because I can feel myself getting uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I do think we all started. I mean, I'm going to put myself, I think that eaters start because there's something that caused disconnection from love. They didn't get the love they wanted. They didn't get connected to. I mean, and you know, people handle that in all different ways. I don't think that many people did get the love they wanted or connected to, but our way was food.
Yeah.
At least my way was food.
Yeah.
And so I really understand that love and fear. And I think, you know, the fear, the anxiety is what made us eat.
Yeah.
Very simple. And the healing does come. I noticed, and I wrote it in my book, and that, and I can still see this one a little bit. I mean, I don't do anything like I used to do. But because mine was the father wound, I know people have mother wounds, father wounds, but mine was the father wound, that when something would happen with a boyfriend or a man in my life, I would go to M&Ms. It's not like even, I mean, it's a ridiculous thing, but.
Very logical.
But and there is, when that happens, you know, for real eaters, there is a, it's like a desperateness. It's something like, I need it now. It's like, I don't care anymore about this, that, and the other thing. I want to give myself something that I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want M&Ms and I don't really care. So that's the feeling of it.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Especially when it's bad.
Yeah.
Then you want it even more. Yeah.
So those are the moments, and that's the healing process, the emotional healing of, like you said, of how do I align? How do I love myself more? This is an ongoing process that year after year we work on. It's a never-ending process.
It gets easier, luckily. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so happy, Patricia, because everyone needs to trust their bodies, and everyone needs to understand that only we can give things power. So if we think that food makes us fat, then it will. If we think and believe, as you also state in your book, it's mindless energy, it's just something that tastes like something, and it goes into the body and it evaporates, and only what you need, your body will take out of it. So can I end with the 2 questions that I sent?
Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I was in Thailand. This is a long, long time ago. I was in Thailand, and I remember reading in The Lonely Planet. I guess you know these books, right? The Lonely Planet gives all.
I did. I followed The Lonely Planet at one point. Yeah. I think at some destination I was at.
Yeah. And they said, be sure to check if you order fruit shakes that they make it without sugar. I was in Thailand for 7 weeks, and only the last week did I remember. I was like, oh no, totally forgot. So I started ordering the fruit shakes without sugar. They were awful. They didn't taste like anything. And I thought, are you kidding me? Have I been drinking so much sugar all these 6 weeks? And when I came back, I think I was up a couple of sizes. I couldn't fit in my largest pants, and I was shocked because I've been walking around in these Fisher's trousers there. So I could not, I didn't feel that I gained weight. So I thought, okay, how is it possible that I gained weight even though I didn't know? I wasn't even focused on that. I'm not sure if I wasn't focused on it, but I wasn't focused on the sugar, let's say that. I wasn't aware of taking all the sugar. Like what would you say to, how is that possible, Patricia?
Okay, so I did think about that question. And I thought, well, I would start with questions. In other words, since every case is different, and I need to know about the person and what led up to that. So, because it can happen on a subconscious, an unconscious, or a medical level. So I have to really know about all of those with someone to see, okay, what precipitated this? And so the questions that came up for me, and I don't know that we'll get to them all, you know, but this is where I would track with someone. And I would say, okay, I need to know what your connection with sugar was before you went on that trip. Were you dieting? Were you staying away from sugar? What are your beliefs about sugar at that time?
Well, actually, and that was actually also what I came up with, because I thought that's the only thing that it can be. I was in the, what is the word for that? The mere fact that I read about, be sure not to have fruit shakes with sugar. I try to stay away from it because I thought sugar will make me fat.
There you go.
Already, yeah, there we have the answer. I was already in the mindset. So, yeah.
You're not even making me work. Yes, you were in that mindset. So,
I didn't know you dropped out a little.
I didn't hear what you said.
You dropped out for a little, but
yes, you're dropping out and in too. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was saying, yes, you did. You gave me the answer that you already had a very strong belief system about sugar. And although you were not thinking about it, you probably, in my guess is you've been depriving yourself of sugar or on some diets that are no sugar. So your body already had the information that sugar and weight go together. And without you even having to say anything, and that's why I said unconscious or subconscious, you had that program running. So here you are, you know, and you also had been depriving yourself in a certain way, I'm guessing, of sugar from what you're saying. Like sugar was bad, sugar was evil. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
hold on. Yeah.
So that's it. These belief systems that we have ingrained manifest, and we don't have to be thinking about them. Yeah. I was just talking to people outside today. I was walking my dog, and there were people, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to be giving this talk," and they said, "Oh," and they were talking to me about the book, and they said, and this one woman said, "Well, I don't know. She's an elderly woman, and she's in her 80s, and she said, "Well, I don't know why I've gained weight. I have this belly, and I don't know why it's come about." She's slender, but she has this belly that she never had. And then she told me, I didn't even have to go fishing. She said, "Well, I do think that when you hit a menopausal level, then your body gains weight." I said, "Well, there you go."
That's what you think, yeah.
Because I'm at a menopausal level, and that's not happening. And not everyone who's at a menopausal level has that happen. But there is a huge, like you said, there is, what did you say? There is a consciousness that goes around, And there's an individual consciousness that has belief systems in it.
Yeah.
So,
So there we go. And I wanted to give the people who watch this a really nice trick, in addition to the tricks that you mentioned in your book, like how to stop the saboteur. And it's really crazy because I love it when things come from different directions. So I was watching a Joe Dispenza video, a success story, and this elderly lady said she managed to get rid of her pain through his program. And she said, when I sat in meditation and I felt the pain coming up, I just was like Gandalf on the bridge. Like, you're not coming through, with the, yeah. And a friend of mine, we were talking about something, and she said exactly the same. And I thought, how is this even possible that she's using this metaphor? And so that is what I'm using as well. Like when bad thoughts are trying to, I'm just like, no. And Gandalf is on the bridge. Yeah. Yeah. And then there was one more question that I'm curious.
Let me say one thing about that before we move on, because God knows I won't forget it.
Please.
So one of the trainings I do with people is about developing, I call it your warriorist self. Yeah. And I spend time in the book developing it, because it does take that part of ourself to make a stand that your Gandalf is no. We each have it in us. I have to work with people sometime to find it. But I spend time finding that, I call her the warriorist self, because that's the part that does have to stand up and say, no, absolutely not. I'm not going there. I'm not ping-ponging with you, as your word. I'm not going to ping-pong. I'm not playing with you. I'm keeping my energy up, and no matter what I have to do, I give many, many tools. I'm not going down. I'm not going down to talk to you. I have nothing to really say to you.
Yeah.
So
I love how you also ask to give the warrioress a name, like it's very personalized. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me go to the second question. Oh yeah, because that was actually one of my concerns. I was like, oh, but I'm gonna ask. So in the book you talk about, and which I also believe, that our bodies have a natural weight that suits us.
Yes.
That suits you, Patricia, suits me, Monique, suits whoever. What if I'm not happy with that natural weight? What if I'm like, yeah, but actually I wish my natural weight was different? Have you ever been in such a situation, or do you have any
Oh, let me see. Yes, of course. I don't know anyone who doesn't have some of that situation where, especially in the society we live in, there is a place, and I'm going to put all leaders in this place, or all, maybe all people, but I'm going to put all leaders for sure. There's a place where, in our sweet innocence, we came to a place where we felt, myself included, I was not enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not intelligent enough. We're not charismatic enough. We're not beautiful enough. If only my thighs were different, if only my waist was different, if only my hair was straight or my hair was curly, if only this, then I would have been loved.
Yeah.
Then I would have gotten, then I would have been enough. It almost makes me sad to even say it. I can feel it in my body. Then I would have been enough to have gotten the love that I wanted. And it's only because this not enough place, whatever anyone chooses, and we all choose them. I wasn't pretty enough. I had many not enoughs. That's why my father loved my younger sister more than me. I mean, we find these reasons and they're not true. So when we go to our own perfect proportion, we take a look. I don't know that there's a woman alive who doesn't have something they want to change, and something they feel shamed about, something that's like shamed in their body. We just all are. It's one of our things we carry as women, and maybe as men also. So I want to say that I would expect that when people get to I remember when I got to my perfect proportion, then there were some people who said I was too thin. Oh, now I was too thin. Before I was too heavy, and now I'm too thin. It's like, and I thought, I'm never going to please everyone. Somebody has this, somebody has that. And when do I ever get to be good enough? And it's really, I think everyone feels on some level, not happy with what they've been given. But with the healing that we're all doing, and the love that we are learning to give ourselves, we start nourishing the natural brilliance that we are. And actually, we're so exquisite and so beautiful and so radiant. And all of us are. And as we begin to know that through our growth, then who we were given at birth just becomes, it starts developing a brilliancy. Yeah. And our brilliancy and our beauty and our enoughness shows through, because in the end we are enough. And in the end we have the exact body that's good enough and beautiful enough when it's in its perfect proportion. Because there is a dissatisfaction. I mean, and I'm not against doing different things, that make us feel better, but in the end, there's always going to be something else, so we can get Botox and we can get liposuction and we could get all the things that are available. And then we have, like in the movies, all the movie stars with God, what they're doing now. So much stuff we're growing up with, that to get love, we need to look like this. So even, I'm not against improving as much as you can.
Yeah, I know.
But at a certain place, you're always still going to be going, yeah, but this, if you look here, you'll see, I have this wrinkle, or I have this, or, my hips just aren't right. My breasts aren't good enough. Whatever it is, it just goes on, and for men too.
Yeah, so there we have it. Actually, the perfect proportion already says it. It's the perfect proportion.
Oh, there's something in me that goes, oh, that actually hums. And when we know that, and that's our journey, to realize we were always perfect. We were always lovable. We always deserved that love we didn't get. There was nothing ever wrong with us. That perfection is where we're headed back. We're all headed back.
Yeah, and I think this is actually also the perfect end note for a wonderful talk with you. I could talk for hours, but I don't think it's interesting for everyone to watch for hours. Yeah. Or maybe some people like me, because I'm a nerd. I love to watch long talks and see what information comes up. Thank you so much for your time.
And I've so enjoyed this.
Yeah, great. And who knows, maybe we'll talk again, because I've seen on your website that you're working on a movie. You're part of a movie that's coming out soon.
The movie did come out. Oh. And I have a very little part of it. In the beginning, Bruce Lipton was part of it, but then he, for some reason, he isn't in it. He was in it in the beginning, and there's lots of really wonderful people in it. It's called The Business of Disease. And I have a very small part in it. But all the people, I'm happy. And there is a book that was created with all the healers in it. But it already is out, and it's called The Business of Disease. And there is a book that goes along with it where everyone wrote a chapter, and a lot of incredible people who've done what I've done in all areas. you know, they've
Yeah, so
taken it.
maybe we'll talk again someday. And who knows, we will work on that ideas of mine.
Yeah.
But for now, thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you'll get the book, that you'll get freedom from food, and that you and everyone else in your life will start loving themselves so much that it hurts.
Oh, well, I'm right with you on that. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're so welcome.